And welcome everybody to Prop Live, your weekly prop and costume making Q&A session. I'm Bill Duran.
I have to talk now?
Yeah.
I'm Brittany Duran.
And we are here to answer your prop and costume making questions. But first, we have some stuff we want to talk about. Like we do at the beginning of every single show, we talk about what's going on in the world of prop and costume making, what we've been working on, and we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
I'm really excited about that. And of course, too, we have our live chat going right now. You guys are great. I'm pointing at it. Doesn't matter because that's where it is. That's where I see it. They're talking about butts right now.
You said hold on to your butt.
That's right.
It's all your fault.
And all of that can be found at punishedprops.com/live. And we'll get more into that later. But first, I want to talk about our friends over at tested.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tested.com is awesome. If you haven't been there, go check it out.
Yes. They not only did they get to go play with one of the suits from the Martian, which we just watched again this last weekend. And that movie is freaking awesome. But they got their hands on a they called it a hero quality, and it looked like a hero, like close-up quality costume of the spacesuit from the Martian. And Adam Savage was running around with it, and some of our buddies, they were at Frank Ippolito's shop, got to play with it, and that looked really, really neat. So not only did they do that, but they also posted an article that I wrote.
Yeah.
So if you go to their website, they'll be like, oh my God, Martian spacesuit. Also, Bill wrote an article. Anyway.
That Martian spacesuit's awesome, though. They did a short video of it, and you can go check it out. And also, Bill's article is about his trials and tribulations about his CNC router.
Yes.
And all the stuff he's learned so far.
So I'll be writing an article for Tested every month, one article per month. And this month I wrote about the X-Carve CNC router. So if you're interested in that at all, it's worth checking out. It's kind of like a surface level look into the world of 3D modeling and generating tool paths for a CNC router. And it's pretty good. It's not too, I tried to keep it from being too tech jargony. Mm. It's very surface level, very intro type thing. But it's worth checking out. It's really neat. The CNC is something that's really, really cool. The X-Carve is an example of the price is kind of coming down on that stuff. So it's like hobbyist level. Mm-hmm. So for more advanced prop making type things like we'll be getting into here, it's an amazing tool for that. And it's fairly reasonably priced. We'll be doing something. We'll be at least testing it out with what you've been working on, which is.
I have been 3D modeling a Hearthstone box.
Yes,
it's an old commission that we have, so we're finally getting around to it. So you saw part of it already in the one-part mold video. This is a resin casting of it. This is just a symbol, and so I'm working on the whole box. So this was 3D printed. One of the things we're testing is using Smoothcast 325, which is mostly transparent with a little bit of amber color. And this is blue dye in it, and it is see-through. So
here, I can do this.
Yeah, there we go. My thought with it is the whole thing's getting painted metal, like all these bits are. So paint it all metal, and then leave the swirly part all see-through. So this is just one test. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. Now I can make more.
So the box for that is this bigger thing, and we want to try and cut it out with the CNC router.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. It has lots of pointy bits, so see what it does.
Yep. So we'll keep you up to date. Anyway, go over to tested.com, check that out. And of course, Tested has a ton of other amazing stuff that's worth checking out. All right. On to the next thing. We updated our Patreon campaign. Now, you guys, especially a lot of you guys that are in the chat right now, have been like our core awesome supporters over on Patreon. You guys have made us able to do more with this show, which has been really, really awesome. And we are expanding our Patreon campaign to include not only this live show, but also all of our YouTube videos. You guys have made it blatantly clear that you want more cool stuff, more content, better content, and we are happy to provide that. And one way that you can help make that happen is by helping us out over on our Patreon campaign, which I will show right now with the magic of the internet. Boop, there it is. So we updated it. I made a new video. It's worth checking out. We have a little bit more going on in the goals area. Part of that is because we want to do more live streaming from the shop. In fact, we would love to do that every week. So we'll have at least one shop video like we normally do, a fully edited shop video. That is what we do already. That's what we will continue to do. We have our live show that we're doing right now. And again, we've already done that in the past, and we will do it more, or continue doing that. But we want to do more on top of that, including weekly live streams that we are going to be trying out on Twitch.
Yeah. It looks like we're pretty close to that goal too.
Yes, we are. We're
it's only $20 away or something.
Yeah, and more importantly that though, guys, with the Patreon thing, like the dollar amount is awesome. Like that helps us do more. But getting more just individual people on board with the Patreon thing helps all of us out a lot. Part of it is, again, the money part, but also when you sign up as a patron, that means we can contact you directly whenever we have new content. Everyone knows that with Facebook, like getting content out to the people who follow you can be a chore because of their algorithms. YouTube does that stuff too. With Patreon, you can sign up to get an email notification whenever we put out new content, so you just won't miss a thing. So even if you seriously come in at like 10 cents a week for the Patreon thing, that's fantastic, because then we can get a hold of you whenever we have new content. So that's the new Patreon thing. I mentioned Twitch. Once we hit that next goal there, we're going to start doing weekly live streams from the shop. I know you guys really like watching us as we work. We'll do that at least every week once we hit that goal, which is just right around the corner.
I'm excited. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really will. And we're interested in seeing what the Twitch world is all about. Twitch Creative is a thing now. It's really neat. Up until yesterday, we were locked out of using different live streaming services because of a contract we had with our multi-channel network on YouTube. But that's over now, so we're going to go branch out and try out some more things. So I'm stoked.
Yeah.
You stoked?
Oh, I am so stoked.
You, me, Vegas, 2 weeks.
So stoked.
So stoked. What else do we have? Oh, and then the other thing. So we're changing things up a little bit with how we do this show. Specifically how we get questions from you guys. Now, you guys have been amazing for the entire run of Prop Live, which, by the way, we are pretty close to 100 episodes.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's bonkers. You guys always bring just fantastic questions. Whenever we have a guest on, they're always kind of blown away by how sort of into it you guys are, how technical your questions are, how really, really in-depth they are. And we're going to keep doing that. We're just going to change how we get those questions from you guys. We're getting to the point where there are an awful lot of you guys, and that's fantastic, except that getting questions out of the chat directly is impossible. They just zip right past, and it's impossible for us to grab them in the moment. We do try and interact with you guys in the chat whenever we can, but it's not a great way to collect questions.
Yeah, I don't want to miss them.
Yeah. And the Q&A app that we use normally, in fact, I think it's running today, but I'm probably not going to use it. That's fantastic, but it doesn't work over on Twitch. So we wanted to come up with a way to collect questions in a formal manner that would work best for everyone. So we made a form on our website. If you head on over to punishedprops.com/live, where all of the information about this live show lives anyway, you'll see a form there. It's super duper easy. We will check. That sends an email to us, gets filtered to a folder so we can check it before we do the show. You can technically submit questions all week if you want.
Yeah.
We'll go through them before the show and grab all the best ones. Piece of cake, though, you have to put your email, or you don't have to put your email address in there. The form just wants that field there. But really, we just need the topic you want to talk about, your name, whatever you want us to refer to you on the show, and your question. And that's it. That goes to an email folder, and then we can collect those questions. This really is the best way for us to be able to wrangle all of the questions so that we're prepared for the show. Mm-hmm. So we posted that earlier today. A bunch of you guys posted a bunch of questions, and it worked out really great. So hopefully it continues to work like that.
Yeah, who knows? I'm curious to see where the question answering thing goes in the future, because maybe we'll do more live streams where we answer more questions or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
and
we can use that form for a whole bunch of stuff in the future too.
Yeah.
Like if we know who's going to be our guest a couple days in advance, we could say, hey, head on over there and send us a question specific to that guest or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. Last thing, I just want to talk about the gun in the background. I don't know if you guys noticed. Ta-da!
It's only this big.
It's tiny little gun. That is the Jade Rabbit, or I've been calling it the Foam Rabbit from Destiny. And it's made entirely out of foam. And it's for the new book that we're working on. The Foam Smith 2, the weapon book. And that will be painted probably by tomorrow, all done. I'm taking photos of it, of the whole process. And then I can do the final write-up on that and put together the book. So this close to getting the last bit of writing done on that book. And then we can start formatting it, make sure we have all the photographs. So that book has been a long time coming, but we're very close to getting it ready.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Super duper stoked. Cool. This is so Rocket Man Props in the chat has posted another quick thing here. He says it's cool to have a community space for us to post our work and follow each other. That is a really great idea. We've thought about this in the past. We have a place on punishedprops.com where people can show off their foam creations. And we want that too. We want a community place. We would love to be the hub for that community place. But the setting up the infrastructure for that is going to take a while. So we want to do that. It's just going to take a while.
Yes.
But I want that too. Cool. All right. I'm ready for questions. You ready for questions?
I am ready for questions.
All right, cool. We're going to dive into the meat of this and get going. Got questions already. The first one comes from Ethan. He says, I'm using foam tiles to make a large axe that needs to be 4 tiles thick. Been racking my brain trying to figure out what to do with the textured side of the tiles, whether to sand it off each side or just the edges for clean seams. What would you recommend?
I assume he means the puzzle pieces.
Yeah, the floor mats with they're roughly 2 feet by 2 feet. Actually, all of the thicker parts of this gun were done with those. So I just sanded the texture off with a belt sander. It's not the cleanest or easiest way to do it. If you have to, you could even use a Dremel to do it. But that makes it stick better. And then just the rough sanded edges, I just make sure those point in on the inside so that the outermost layers pointing out is the factory finish smooth surfaces. That's what I do.
Yeah. I'm still getting the hang of using a belt sander and sanding off the texture. If I just use my hand and press on it, then there'll be like a hand indent where the most pressure is. So you want to sandwich it with something?
Yeah, I'll hold like a piece of wood against the top of it. It's hard. It's tricky to do that and sand it off consistently, or without sending it flying across the room.
Yeah, especially with huge pieces too.
Yeah. It's not the best way. Fortunately, there are other options for getting foam. There are more and more options now for getting foam without that texture. Yeah. Like TNT Cosplay Supply does that. I know they said they're working on getting a thicker. Oops.
Yeah, I saw it on there.
Is it for sale?
I think so.
They do 10mm foam. That's pretty great.
Yeah. TNTCosplaySupply.com.
Yeah.
And considering it doesn't have a texture on it, I think it's a pretty fair price.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's going to cost a little bit more than getting those floor mats, but it doesn't have a texture. It's a big roll, so it's worth the convenience, I think. So look into that. All right, thank you, Ethan, for the question. And I will point out too, if you have a, I will sometimes actually use my bandsaw. The first time we saw this was Jay over. I think Jay did it at
Cosplay for Us All.
Cosplay for Us All.
Yeah.
He ran a piece of foam against the fence on his bandsaw and sort of skinned the texture off of it. Mm-hmm. At first, I thought that was crazy, but then I tried it and it worked out pretty well. I use an 18 TPI metal cutting blade to do that. But I can only cut a piece that's as wide as the height that my bandsaw will allow, which is about 3.5 inches. So for some of the pieces on this gun, I did that, but some of the bigger pieces, I had to use the belt sander. So there's some options for you. All right. Next one here comes from one of our regulars, Fearless Facade. What's the coolest thing about working together as a husband and wife at Punished Props? What's the coolest thing? Probably just being around a cool guy like me.
I guess so. No. One thing that is awesome is whenever we have to go somewhere or want to go somewhere, we can just do it unless we have a prior obligation. Mm-hmm. We don't have to have like time off saved up.
Right.
So like back when I had a normal day job, I had to time things when I actually had either the studio was closed or I had time off saved up. But with our schedule now, we can just go places.
Well, usually it would either mean like we would have to plan the travel around when you could get time off, mm-hmm. Or not do it at all, or I would just go by myself.
Yeah.
But now it's like, let's just get in the car and drive to Vegas. Yeah, we can just do that.
And we did.
And we did. It's also, for me, I know, because I've toyed with the idea of having more employees in the past. It's tricky though, because it's a small business. The only reason this business works is the passion that's involved in it. And I am clearly very passionate about making this work because it's like there is no plan B, make or break it. And I've had friends help out in the past, which has been fine. Like for example, my friend Cassie was fantastic in the shop, but she got a job somewhere else at Weta. Damn it. And obviously I can't fault her for leaving to go work in New Zealand. But she had her own career that she wanted to work on, which is great. Brittany, on the other hand, is totally on board with making this Punished Props thing work because now that you're tied into it, a lot of incentive to make it work, right?
Yes.
Whether or not she does a good job has a real impact on whether or not we can buy a house.
Yes. Yeah, but it's also there's the reward of getting direct feedback or like direct production on anything we do. Like we can just start doing something.
Yeah.
Instead of having to go through like a bigger company. So, yeah. That's pretty sweet.
So that's been the best thing for me, having a partner that I can count on who is just as passionate about my vision as I am. That makes a huge difference. Thank you, Fearless Facade. That's a great question. Let's see. Another one from Lee. I don't know if there's several Lees that ask questions. So I'm going to say from regular watcher Lee. Do you have any experience for cutting 16 to 1/8 inch aluminum sheets using a Dremel? I'm making a few small levers for my costume. I'm worried about sparks and debris, and I want to make sure I put safety first. You also know what grinding bits would be best to get rid of burrs, sharp edges after. So I haven't figured out Dremel system. The normal cutoff wheels. Let's look at some Dremel bits.
Dangerous road.
Yeah.
We'll end up buying all the bits.
I already have all the bits. In fact, when I bought the pack of all the bits for the Dremel, and then when I bought the Fordham, it also came with a pack of all the bits. So now we have double of all the bits.
Hey, that's good.
Let's see here. Dremel changed their website. Where's your bits? Carving and engraving?
Yes.
Here we go. Oh, this is perfect. All right, so check this out. If you go to Dremel's website, They actually do a great job of laying out all their different types of bits. So like high speed cutters. Wait, those aren't cut-off wheels. Cleaning, polishing, cutting. There we go. They have all these different wheels for cutting, and the cut-off wheels, I believe, is the best place to look. So there are these normal cutting wheels right here that your metal may destroy. I forgot what I was working on. I was working on something where I would just... No, it was metal. I was cutting steel with it, and it would just grind away that thing, and I put a new one on and grind away that thing. One of these is probably going to be better for metal cutting, like maybe this diamond wheel. I don't know, but go through Dremel's website and see what they've got.
Yeah, they say what it's used for, and then there's also reviews, so you can... it's always very comforting when I read a review that says, I used it for this, and it worked. It's like, sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks for trying it out. And
then grinding and sharpening is going to be your other... area, and I think grinding stones, the aluminum oxide ones, are probably going to be a good bet for removing burrs. So there you go. Go check out the Dremel website. They have a ton of great stuff.
Second Nature Effects likes the Ghost of the Shell poster in the background. That's
good.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting I have a naked lady in the background.
I was like, well, I don't know how appropriate that'll be for Twitch streaming. We need to put more interesting stuff in the background anyway.
Yeah, I've had that since college, I think. So at least 5 years. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like having a naked robot lady in the background. All right, cool. That question came in from Lee. Good luck with your metal cutting project. Yes. If you want to go all crazy town, just get a bandsaw with a metal cutting blade and then get a bench grinder.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do a lot of that stuff, go for it.
Metal cutting does look really cool.
It does. Or just get an angle grinder with just a cutoff wheel on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right. Next question from Baba Louie. What's your favorite item for using to use for filling and sanding gaps and seams in foam? There's Evil Ted has a good video on that.
Yes.
He uses Quick Seal. But there really is only so much that you can do with that. I recommend working your foam edges so that you don't have seams to fill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best case scenario. If that means rebuilding a piece that you've been working on so that the seams are less visible, then do it. It's a lot easier to not have seams in the first place than to fill them later. You can't really sand it.
Yeah, the anything you fill it with is going to have a different texture.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it's an area that's going to have texture on it, that you're adding like something to some kind of depth, you won't really notice it. But if it's like a smooth area, your smooth foam is not going to really look like that smooth Quick Seal. Like close up, from far away, it's okay, but ow.
Yeah, it's a texture thing. It's a density thing.
Yeah.
Like if you put Bondo in there and you sand it, the foam is going to get all fuzzy, and the Bondo is going to sand.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't flex.
Right. It's the same way with any other material. If the material you're using to fill in the gap is a different density than the rest of it, it's going to sand at different rates. It's just something to consider. But again, it's foam. It's cheap. It's quick to work with. Just rebuild that piece. Mm-hmm. If you train yourself to build your foam pieces so that the seams are perfect, then you're going to be better for it in the long run.
Also, hidden seams, if you try and plan your seams in areas that are going to be covered by more foam.
Yeah.
That is the best.
That's like the magic trick you play with foam. And if you get really good at that, then you can make anything. Thank you, Baba Louie. Next question, Afro Viking. That's a good name.
That's a great name.
In the pre-show, we were talking about usernames. Afro Viking is a fantastic name. What tools would you recommend for a beginner foam prop maker? My guess is that a scroll saw and some rotary tool are the core list. Those are both good. Mm-hmm. I got along really, really for a long time with that scroll saw. Rotary tool is a must. I've decided that is the base level. It's like 30 or 40 bucks for a rotary tool, and if you really are into the hobby and you want it and you're committed to it, spend that money on any rotary tool. If you're not going to spend at least that much on the hobby, then what are you doing? But we do have a list on the website.
We do.
That I recently updated because I care about you, all of you, and I'm going to show you right now. If you go to punishedprops.com and head to the shop, there's Bill's Tools. If you look at that, and it loads up, there's a whole bunch of tools there, including software that I use, my audio video gear, a bunch of power tools, painting tools. People want to know which 3D printer, what laser we use, all that fun stuff. It's all on there. But specifically for the foam making, I'm going to say my favorite tool for that is the bandsaw. And the bandsaw we have isn't even, I got it from the hardware store, brand new for like 120 bucks. I know it's a lot for some people, but again, if you're way into it and you do it a lot, super handy. What's your favorite foam tool?
It would probably be the rotary tool.
Yeah.
My edges are getting cleaner with my foam, but just having that grinding bit to be able to smooth out the corner pieces, just smooth them all out so they're not super sharp, just makes it look so much better.
Yep.
And I don't want to sand that by hand. That would be miserable.
And then, you know what? I really ought to add to this specifically foam tools. So I will add to the list that we have right now up on Punished Props. Bill's Tools. There's a bunch of great tools there, but I'm going to add a section specifically for foam tools. There's just a handful of things, like the type of knives that we use, a sharpener, really, really good, and then things like metal rulers, that rotary tool, and the grinding bits.
Yeah, it's amazing how little you need to work with foam.
Yeah.
Like
you can get by with really just a sharp knife and a sharpener, or a lot of replacement blades. And then we'll put barge on there too. Either barge or DAP contact cement. You can get by with super glue. I made my whole Commander Shepard armor with super glue because I'm a crazy person. And what was the other thing? Oh, and hot glue. Yeah. So there you go. Of course, all of that stuff is listed in the Foamsmith book.
Yeah.
Let's see here. That question came in from Afro King.
Afro Viking.
Afro Viking. All right. Thank you, Afro Viking. This next question comes from Steve. Is it possible to paint something to look like leather? I'm planning a Welsh judge from the Dread universe, and I can't get green leathers in my size, so I'm wondering if I can fake it with a paint effect on some green overalls. I think you're going to have a tough time with the texture.
Yeah, if it's a jean-like material, it's going to look like a jean-like material.
Yeah.
You can make foam look like leather, but if you want it to be wrinkly, that's tricky to use something like overalls.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that. If there'd be a way to... That's tough. I mean, you can get vinyl that looks kind of like leather. That's a lot cheaper than actual leather. It's still not great, but if you're starting with something like that's denim, like overalls, it's gonna kind of be hard to sell that as leather.
Yeah, but if it's a dark green and the armor on top of it's like a lighter color, people aren't gonna really notice the undersuit anyway,
right?
As much. But yeah, it's. I'd look up what other Dread cosplayers use for their undersuits. Maybe there's some kind of paintball stuff or something that they use.
That's not a bad idea, yeah. I will say, though, most of the Dread cosplayers I've seen like fully commit to the leather outfit. And they look amazing. And there's, I want to say there's a dude, crap, I have no idea. There is a dude who makes them. Pretty sure does full set of Dread leathers. They're, again, not cheap, but totally worth it if you really want to commit to that. So look around out there, see what other Dread cosplayers are doing. They've got to have like a Facebook group or or at least a section on the replica prop forum. But yeah, trying to make denim look like leather is going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah.
I think it's instead maybe work a couple of overtime shifts at your job, and then instead of spending the time you would take transforming denim, and then with the extra money, just go buy the leathers.
Yeah. Or, I mean, if you're doing your own take on a costume, just have the undersuit be whatever you want it to be.
Right. Make it your own version of
yeah.
dread.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I was trying to say earlier, though, with like overtime and your time spent and everything, try and figure out how you want to spend your time. Like if you really want to spend your time trying to transform one material into another, then go for it. In my experience, a lot of times I would rather spend my time earning more money and then spending that money on the real thing. But that's me. How you spend your time or how you prioritize your time is totally up to you. All right. Next question comes. Oh, that question was from Steve. Next question comes from Isla. 2 questions. Okay. We can do that. I was thinking of starting to sell my work in an online store like Etsy, and I was wondering how to get people to come and buy my stuff. Any tips and or tricks on how to get people to look at your stuff online? I always tell people if you're making things from specific fandoms, let's say, good example, Judge Dredd, right? Let's say you're the guy that's making Dread leathers and you want to let people who want those, that you're making them and that they're for sale, find out where those people hang out online. Again, it might be a thread on the Replica Prop Forum. Also, the Replica Prop Forum has a junkyard where people post stuff that's for sale. Or if they have a subreddit or if they have their own forums. For example, there's a Halo one, the 405th. There's a Star Wars one, the 501st. There's multiple groups for Mass Effect, Dragon Age, like costume-specific groups on Facebook. Go to where the people who would like that stuff hang out and show them, hey guys, check out what I made. And then invariably they'll be like, where can I get one?
For Etsy, we personally don't have an Etsy store, so I would look up an article on how to best market your work toward Etsy.
Yeah.
I've used it a few times and just searching for a very specific thing. So like everyone's results shows up for that thing. So they all kind of have a fair chance, but like good pictures is one of them. Really good, well-lit pictures is huge on those kind of discovery platforms.
Why, I have a video all about taking really cool photos, and we will link that in the show notes.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a whole like market research behind websites like Etsy and how to best utilize them. There's probably some kind of like tagging you can do on like certain search terms and things like that.
Yeah, dive into Tumblr, see the Tumblr blogs that I happen to a friend of ours. She makes bath bombs, and her thing got posted over on Tumblr and then reblogged like a cajillion times, and she had to like close shop for 2 months just to fulfill all the orders she had.
Oh, so, also, if you have Pinterest, it's kind of like the web browser app installed, and you have listings on Etsy or on your website of really cool images, pin those on Pinterest, and they'll go crazy over there. A lot of our traffic comes from Pinterest. Yeah. On our website. Right. So yeah, Tumblr, Pinterest, all the good image platforms.
All right, next question from Isla. I'm making lady shacks for Halloween. How did you make the raised part of on the torso for shacks? Okay, well, I have a picture of Lord Shacks right here.
Lady shacks is a great idea for a costume.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this. Oh, can I do this? This raised part up here, you think, right there?
Yeah.
So that part right there, the upper chest area there, is a couple layers of EVA foam glued together, and this edge here is a bevel that I believe I cut on the scroll saw, I think, and I can't quite remember. Actually, did I live stream that?
You live streamed the
torso. I live streamed me making my other Destiny armor, of course. Yeah, but it's just two pieces of foam together, and then this area right here is a beveled cut. You could do it with a knife. I did it with a scroll saw. Yeah, that's about it. And then I just carved in these little nipple line things.
So that was a separate piece, the top part?
Yeah, that was separate. And then the lower torso part is just one floor mat thick, and this top part is just glued to that. Yeah.
Is there overlap in the back?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool.
So I think that's about how that worked. Hopefully that helps explain how I did it. So good luck. And when you make your lady checks, let me know. I want to check it out. Thank you, Isla. All right. Wayne says, what was the shortest deadline you have completed for a prop commission? I know which one. If you had to guess which one.
I don't know. It's probably an old one, right? Like some ancient
last
one.
couple of years.
Yeah. I don't know. What
it was small. I had to make 3 of them.
Small thing you had to make 3 of.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I made a video for it. That was definitely the proximity ankle thing. Ankle shackle.
You were also really sick for that.
I was really sick. I shouldn't have said yes to that, but it was too much fun.
Yeah.
A while ago, a couple years ago, and we'll definitely link to both the making of video and the actual short film. In fact, I'll bring that up here real quick, but we'll link to it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's linked in our video to our making of.
Yeah,
Dev says the shackles.
Our friends at Film Riot did a short film called Proximity, and it has over 500,000 views. That's pretty awesome.
It should. It's awesome.
It's a short film, and the main characters have these ankle shackles on them. And Ryan was like, hey, we got this thing that we were going to make, and it got canceled. So we're doing another thing while everyone's in town. Can you build something and have it to us in 2 days?
That's actually the poster.
Yeah, that's it right there. That you can see the shackle and the poster.
Yeah.
Or kind of. Anyway, he basically was like, we need this thing right away. Can you help us out? And I was like, well, I'm extremely sick right now, and I should probably be in bed. But of course, I'm going to make something for you because you guys are awesome. So I knocked out these 3 ankle shackles. They only needed 2, but I made 3 just in case because you don't know what could happen during production. It could get broken. They clip together with magnets so they can just snap around the actors' ankles. They have lights on them, and in the fiction, they actually blink. They are not real lights. They are just filled in colored resin, and they did all the lights in post. So when you guys go watch that, don't go ask me, Bill, how'd you do lights for those? They look cool. They're not lights. They're just static pieces of colored resin. Their effects guys added those lights in post, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But that is definitely, hands down, the shortest deadline I've ever had. And I was extremely sick.
But they looked awesome.
I'm really happy with how they turned out. The crew thought they were pretty neat. They were, again, foam, so I was able to build them really fast. They wouldn't break when they fell because they threw them around everywhere. It was really awesome. So there you go. Foam fabrication, great for DIY filming. Thank you, Wayne. Cool. Let's keep trucking. This one's from Strange Britt Props. I imagine this is a British person, not like a strange Brit.
Hey, both works.
Yes. All right. Oh, Rob TC says that After Effects point tracking. Yeah, they did lots of really cool motion tracking and stuff to make those work.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and by the way, for Proximity, they made a ton of behind the scenes stuff on how they did all that. So it's worth diving into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
All right. Strange Brit wants to know. I'm just starting out with prop making, and my portfolio stuff is kind of bare. Do you have any tips you could give on how to build that up other than just start making things in my spare time?
You got to make things.
That's kind of the thing you do. Just keep making things.
Yeah. If you like it, if you're passionate about it, you'll do it, like make things all the time. It helps to have deadlines, even if it's just a hobby. So you're not working on one thing for an entire year. Just be like, I'm going to get this thing done by this time, and just set milestones, and just like, it's not going to be perfect. Just get it out the door. Get some finished looking products, things that look good in pictures.
At one point, about 6 or 7 years ago, this is the only thing that was in my portfolio. This rocket launcher I made for my Team Fortress costume, and this is the entire blog post too.
There's nothing there. Oh,
yeah, I did that. That
was all like done. That was all like in a day too, and we didn't realize that these things took time. So this was like 2 days before the convention,
right?
And you were using Bono in our living room.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But there was a point when that's all my portfolio only had that in it. So I posted that on the internet, and then I made something else, and I did that for a couple of years. So that's the secret. If there's a secret, just keep making stuff.
Yeah, you think about it. If you do even just one thing a month, one completed project each month, at the end of that year, you're gonna have 12 things in your portfolio, and that's almost too many for a portfolio. You don't want to have too many things. It's like 6 to 8 or something is usually a good range.
Yeah, the portfolio here, and I'll show you what I have on my website, and if it would load, there we go. On punishprops.com, I have a little portfolio, and it's just a couple of pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10 is okay.
10 is a good amount, and it's just a picture, and there's a link. No, there isn't. That's not a link. I didn't figure out how to do that. But it's 10 really good photos of the stuff I'm most proud of. You can cycle through it. But that's it. Like, you want to be able to be picky with your portfolio and just show off the stuff that you think is the best representation of your skill level. So you need to have a lot of things to be able to pick from.
Yeah, and the next year you make stuff, you can start replacing portfolio pieces.
Yeah. So if in the next year you make 10 things, pick your 5 favorite ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep at it. Just keep at it. That one came from Strange Britt. Oh, he's got another one. He says, I know things are different in different countries, but how easy was it to set up a freelance prop business?
I don't think setting up any business anywhere is any level of easy.
No.
It's a dangerous thing.
Yeah. For example, I signed up for my business license, and I got a thing in the mail, and I was like, sweet, mission accomplished. Not mission accomplished. There was more paperwork to do. I didn't realize that for another year. So there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of things you have to know going into it that you will not know, and you will only learn by doing it. I am coming up on 4 years now running my business full time, and only now do I really kind of think like I've got a handle on it. But whenever I think that something comes up, it makes me realize I don't. So yeah, whatever country you're in, if you can find sort of like an intro level guide to setting up a small business. Don't be as specific as like making props. Right. Any small business. Yeah.
They all have to follow the same rules.
Right. So for a good example, we have our business license from the state. Yeah. But also the city where we live, we had to go get one too. And you had to pay for both of those. So you had to do those things. And then you have to get your tax identification number or employee identification number, which is basically like a social security number for your business. Because then when you get paid by someone, by another company, they don't pay you, they pay your business. It's this whole weird thing. All of that stuff, it took me a couple of years to figure out, and it will for you too. So anything you can do beforehand to learn about that would be good. Especially if you know other small business people where you live, go ask them what they had to go through.
see how sleep deprived they look, and ask them all sorts of questions.
Max Money in the chat says, nice, the shop sweatshirt is back. It never went anywhere. It's still here. It's just that sometimes I have to do my laundry. Believe it or not, this is clean.
Well, the shirts Bill's been wearing in the videos are like his dress shirts, I guess. They're not shop shirts.
I want to look professional.
Yeah. At least, I mean, one of these days he'll forget to take them off in the shop and they will become a shop shirt. But for now, this is not long for this world.
Rocket Man Props in the chat says, crap, I got registered as a company a while ago, but now you're making me think I've missed a whole lot of steps. You probably have. It's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. All right. Thank you, Strange Britt Props. This next one comes from Rob. He says, what 3 people would you love to interview that you haven't? Alive or dead? His choices are Stephen King, Morgan Freeman, and Les Stroud. Survivor Man.
It's a good one.
Wow. Who would you love to interview?
You would love to interview Adam Savage.
Yes.
Even though you probably know everything about him already from all his he likes to talk about a lot of the cool stuff he does.
Yeah.
And,
in fact, actually, it's funny you say that because when I did get to chat with him about the District 9 gun, I made it out of mostly MDF, and he was like, oh, you should make it out of LDF or Trupan. It's really good. And I told him, I know, because I watched your videos.
Yeah, also, that stuff's hard to find when you're not in LA, I guess.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Adam Savage is high on that list.
Yeah. I don't have any specific people I can think off the top of my
How about
head.
Patrick Rothfuss?
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I follow him on Twitter and he talks a lot.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like I already know him. But like, there's some companies I would like to chat with. Like, when we get down to New Zealand, I really want to go to Weta and just hang out. Just learn all about the cool people there.
Richard Taylor would probably be pretty cool to chat with.
He seems like an awesome guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been pretty fortunate that a lot of the people who've inspired me, I've had the chance to talk with. Trying to think off the top of my head, any other ones? Like, I don't have any celebrities that I really geek out over. That much. I don't know. I'm trying to think authors, writers. I wouldn't mind chatting with Ryan Holiday. He's really cool. He's an author. It's talking about business stuff and marketing, especially. That's something that he is a super pro at. He's got a bunch of really great books out there. So Ryan Holiday would be up there.
Yeah, those marketing guys are wizards.
Yeah.
They live in a different world.
Anyway, hopefully we said 3 names out loud. Thanks, Rob. Good question. I'll have to think about that some more. We have a handful more in about 10 minutes, so let's keep trucking through here. When mixing resins, is there a problem with basically pouring 1 cup into the other and then pouring back into the first? Eliminating the 3rd cup. I did this with Onyx Fast, where seeing an even mix is impossible anyway.
Onyx Fast is pure black.
Yeah, it is. But let's see here. I wasn't sure. I just do that, like, especially if we're doing a lot of casts in one day. We'll have our 2 main jugs of resin, and I want to open them, pour the resin, and then cap them so that we don't get a lot of moisture getting in there. Excuse me. And in fact, if we have to do a lot of small casts, I'll fill up a smaller cup with resin and cap off the jug, and then pour from those smaller cups into my measuring cups, and then pour those into the mixing cup. This way, I can be totally sure that I mix each side. I pour an even amount in each side. And then I'll just have, like, the mixing cups, I'll cycle through them.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'll have, like, 4 mixing cups, and I use one, and then I pour it, and then I put it in the back of the line, and I use the next one for the next pour. And then by the time I get to the first one again, it's cured, so I can use that again.
Yes. I mean, if you have your side A and your side B, and you pour side B into a different cup and add your tint and then add side A to that, the side B is still alone in a cup. It's still the same process. It's just if you're doing repetitive casting, you want to keep your A and B separate and not contaminate them, and then do your mixing in a separate cup.
Yeah, so if I have, like, my side A and my side B, and I just pour the A into the B and mix it up, that B cup is now my mixing cup. If I want to pour more the next time, I got to get a fresh cup anyway.
I read Corium 9's post ahead of time. They're also talking about having issues with their cast coming out being usable. If you're working in small batches, it sounds like you're making a coaster. It's really hard to get small bits of resin, and depending on the kind, to cure correctly.
Yeah.
If your measurements are off at all,
Mhm.
they have to be exact. And like 325, I'm noticing is super picky about that.
Yeah, it is.
300 is like, if you're kind of close, it's fine.
Right.
But
like,
also when you're working with a small batch, if you don't mix it enough and if you don't scrape the sides, you're going to get unmixed resin in it. And if you don't mix the sides, then just or like scrape the sides, then just don't use everything in the cup. Leave some at the bottom, some waste. But if you want to scrape every last bit out of that cup, mix it up really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, it comes down to if you're mixing up 20 milliliters and you're off by 2 milliliters, you're 10% off, and that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
If you're mixing 200 milliliters and you're 2 off, then you're 1% off, and that's not as big a deal. The bigger the batch, the more room you have to fudge.
Yeah. I know what Bill's done for his coasters is he made a mold for one and then cast a couple copies of that.
I made 4 molds.
Yeah, he ended up with a couple molds, so that way he could pour 4 at once and have a bigger.
Yeah. Basically, I would mix up a big batch of resin, pour all 4 of them, so I didn't have to worry about those small amounts. Yeah. Hopefully, Corium 9 Creations. Hopefully that answered your question. All right. Ray from Cyborg says, will spraying crystal clear on monster clay ruin the clay? Crystal clear is kind of like the colloquial term for like a clear coat that you spray on if you're going to mold something. It's also a product. We'll link to it in the show notes. It's basically a clear spray paint. A lot of people use it for mold making. I don't think it will. I don't really use that process. I don't use a lot of monster clay anyway, but I imagine if you're going to reuse that monster clay and mix it up, then the crystal clear will get mixed into it, but I don't think it'll ruin it. You may want to double check. Actually, Frank Ippolito would know that, wouldn't he? I don't know why you would want to spray the crystal clear on there, on the monster clay.
Yeah, I think with Harrison from Volpin Props, to get a really smooth finish, he uses some kind of solvent or something on his clay.
Well, if you want to smooth something like monster clay, you can use just rubbing alcohol in your finger to smooth it out, and then the alcohol evaporates.
Yeah.
As opposed to water, it won't work because it's got wax in it.
Yeah. So, like, because if you're using crystal clear to just give it a nice finish.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really use crystal clear all that much, so your guess is good as mine.
Yeah, we need to use more monster clay this year. We have some. It would be fun to do some videos on it.
Sure. Yeah. Try and do some sculpting.
That'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
As long as it's not symmetrical, I can do it. Yeah. I just get mad. Like, I'm so used to working in 3D programs where you can just copy things and they're perfect. And working in real life stuff, it's.
So my guess though is that it won't necessarily ruin the clay. But it really depends on what you're going to be using the clay for afterwards. So, I don't know. Ask Frank. Go ask Frank Ippolito. All right, next question. Oh, that one came from Ray from Cyborg. Next one comes from Colby. Given the choice, working with foam, barge, cement, or hot glue, and why? Depends on what you're doing, but for most stuff, barge.
It always depends.
It does, yeah.
If you don't want a gap at all, contact cement's incredible.
Yeah,
but
just remember that using hot glue will add a lot of material to whatever you're gluing together. So if you want 2 edges to come together seamlessly, hot glue is not good for that because it adds volume to it. Barge is awesome for that. But I use hot glue for all the straps and stuff. Yeah,
or if you need, if you have your piece of foam and you're bending it, and you wait, if that's the outside.
Yeah.
That's the outside and you're bending it, you can just put a bunch of hot glue in there to like get your cool
to reinforce seams from the back where you're not going to see it.
Or you do those like partial cuts through the foam and just fill it. Yeah, the hot glue is great for filling things and putting straps on stuff.
Yes.
For sure.
Also remember too, like whatever you're working on with foam or whatever thing, we have hot glue gun. We have several hot glue guns. We have several cans of barge. We have several different super glues. We each have our own super glue, in fact, so that no one runs off with it. Like I have countless glues in my collection, all for different situations and materials and purposes. 5-minute epoxy, Elmer's glue, spray adhesive. It's worth having all of those on hand for whenever it's called for.
If it's the night before the convention, hot glue.
Yeah.
You don't have time to wait on the barge.
Yeah. All right. Good luck, Kobe. Get both. This one is from Willow.
It's not our cat.
Not our
I
cat.
don't think
No,
so.
we have a cat named Willow. If you and Britt were animated characters, who would you be and why? I want to say I would be King Arthur from Disney's The Sword and the Stone because it's my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah.
But I would probably be the goofy wolf who keeps getting the short end of every stick in that movie.
No, this sounds like a kind of question that's like, what would be your awesome X-Men mutant power? It's like, well, first you analyze which one would be the most survivable.
Wolverine, obviously.
Yeah, so it's like, which one do I want to be, or which one would
you end up being?
Where would be the smartest?
Yeah, like I want to be Wolverine, but I'd probably end up being Jubilee.
Or Dazzler.
Dazzler, oh, it's even worse.
You'd be pretty. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, animated could be 3D animated too.
It's true, yeah. Dan seems to think you would be Joy from the movie.
Oh, that's true. Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah.
I want to cosplay Joy. It's a simple dress, and you get to wear a fun blue wig and be happy all the time.
Mm-hmm. I want to be Kuzco from The Emperor's New Groove.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Willow. Let's see, we got 2 more up in the chamber here. See if we can knock them out. Modulus Prop says, I usually end up with small mountain of empty smooth-on containers and spray cans at the end of a project. Do you try to recycle this type of thing? What's a good way to cut down on waste?
We threw them in the recycling, and no one's complained yet.
No, I actually double-checked. I had a bunch of them, and I went to the recycling center, and I was like, what do I do with these? And they're like, just dump them in the recycling.
Oh, good. I didn't realize you went and checked.
Oh, yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can just be recycled.
It got to the point where we had enough to like make armor out of it. There was a joke.
Yeah.
There's a joke that we were going to have a part A and a part B, a yellow and blue armor, and fight each other. But then we recycled them all.
Looks like the chat's come to some sort of mob, like coming together event. Hey, Patch says, we are all the best. That's pretty awesome. Yes, no, you guys are awesome. They're saying how our chat is super international. It is true. A lot of people from a lot around the world. Pretty fantastic. Sunday Cosplay is in there. I know he is in Australia. Yeah. And he says that Smoothcast 300 is the best resin, and I find it hard to disagree. Cool. Thank you, Modulus, for props for the question. We got one more that we can knock out here. Adam, or Atomic Props, says, if I'm only making one prop, should I still mold and cast it? What are the benefits of casting it, or just keeping the master as the prop?
You have done one-offs before. Your Borderlands gun.
Plasma caster, yep.
Yeah, there's only one of those out in the world.
Yep.
It's made out of really sturdy stuff, though.
Pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
You can't really set it down, though.
Yeah, well, that's a design thing.
The main advantage is when you build something, usually it's out of a lot of different materials, right? Like MDF, styrene, Bono, all these different materials. And they aren't necessarily super cohesive. And if you have a prop you're going to be carrying around a lot, molding and casting it gives you one solid piece of cast resin for that prop that is going to be a lot more durable.
Mm-hmm. Or you can make it hollow and make it lighter.
That's exactly it. You could slush cast it.
Yeah. But no, Bill for commissions, Bill's done one-offs of things. Yeah. Just have to make sure it's sturdy. He was, for the prepping your master's video, he was waving around his Maroon's Razor Master. Hand a little wiggly on that.
A little wiggly, yep.
But like your Eagle Master you painted, didn't you? Isn't that the one upstairs? You don't have a master for that anymore? Yeah. No, I do have, I still have the molds for that are like falling apart. I might get one more copy out of that. In fact, I want to get one more copy out of that and make a phalanx. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's most of the projects where I haven't molding and cast them, it's because I didn't have time to do it, and I really wish I had. So most stuff, unless you can make it super durable or just make it out of foam, Do
Yeah.
a one-off foam one that you can throw it on the stairs and don't have to worry about it breaking.
Yeah, for a one-off, I would do it out of foam at this point. If we're gonna go through the trouble to make it out of hard materials, make it look all nice and smooth and perfect, I want to mold it.
There you go. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. There was a bunch of guys watching today live. You guys are great. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us. I see you guys in there doing your awesome thing. Once again, too, I do want to just point you guys over to our Patreon, because that's been awesome having you guys help us out. And we want to be able to do more with Patreon. So, for example, people at the $1 a week and higher level will be getting some extra content every single week. I'll be posting something tomorrow, a little behind the scenes on what I've been working on this week, specifically having to do with that guy right there. I have a little just wanted extra stuff to help out you guys who are helping us so much. So if you haven't already, head on over to patreon.com/punishedprops. If you've learned something from these videos that we've done and you value that and you want to throw a little value back at us, that's the best way to do it. Thanks again. And this has been Prop Live. Do it again next week.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. It has been awesome
yes,
hanging out with you.
Yes, it has. We'll see you all next week. Toodaloo.